It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Okay, in the meantime, I've started
Everybody.
recording.
Is Carolyn?
We can do this here. 1,
Carol's here, yes.
2,
She's
space,
Hey,
muted.
Dick.
4,
Yes.
space,
Hi, Carol.
Excuse
8,
me?
space, 1, 6. Right? Right.
We're just waiting for
There you
Gordon
go.
to click in.
Join with video.
Ah,
Who would have thought? Okay, I'm all set.
okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Good. I have started recording, and we think we have a full house, right? With Gordon. Okay. So,
All right, I'm in.
good. Welcome to everyone. Let's see. Let me do this. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is our agenda. Can everyone see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And the first thing is the review and approval of the minutes, which Lily sent out. Does anyone have any corrections?
Nope.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Motion to accept the minutes as written.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
I
Okay,
second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll do that verbally. All opposed? No. Good.
Hey, Dick, just for the record,
Yeah.
do we have a full complement of regular members? I'm just trying to find out if I should be voting or not.
I think we have everybody. No, who's not here?
John.
John Kumbler, he's an alternate. So yes, we have a full complement of regular members.
Okay, so I shouldn't be voting on anything.
Okay, do we have another motion to accept the minutes?
I move to accept the minutes. This is
there
Carol.
another second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? No. No. Okay, no opposed. Okay, are there any suggestions for future agenda topics, or would you like to put this off till the end of the meeting?
I'm okay with the end of the meeting.
All right. Okay, in case anything occurs to us during the meeting. In that
Right.
case, the first item on the agenda is our joint action with Truro. Has anything developed in that situation?
Suzanne? Suzanne has contacted,
Suzanne's on mute.
uh,
I'm on
Right.
mute.
I'm on mute? Oh,
You
okay.
were, but I'm unmuting you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kept saying stuff and getting no response. I've reached out to Fred Gechter, as of today, because we need to get started on a grant that I'll discuss in the grant section. But the Truro Climate Action Committee did show interest. I think they're on board with this, so it's just a matter of seeing if he's back in town and ready to talk.
Okay.
or
and
even
we'll-
if he's not back in town, we can talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this going to be a Zoom meeting that you need help with, or?
Okay, I've been on a few Zoom meetings. I haven't hosted any. Is there anything involved in being a host? I believe I have an account.
Do you have a paid account or the free account?
Probably free. Yeah, free.
The free account has a limitation that if there are more than 2 people involved, it's a 40-minute meeting.
Oh,
So,
okay.
That would be fine, I think.
Yeah, I think we could manage that.
right, you can always call back, then it starts the clock again.
Okay.
Okay. No, there's not too much. I will send out a set of notes on how to use Zoom, but it's not particularly tailored to hosting. If you're not sharing your screen, there's nothing to do except mute or unmute people. Okay, call me if you have any questions.
Okay.
So you're going to set that up, right?
Yes, waiting to hear back from him. And I have
Okay.
more to report on that further down when we get to the grant section.
Okay. Fine. Anything else with Truro? We haven't heard from Brian Boyle anymore. Have you, David?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right. We talked last time about the new state legislation, which hopefully would get the state to a net zero position. What was it, by 2050? And halfway there by 2035. And that means it's going to take some serious action now. Did we vote on the town meeting No, we didn't vote on the town meeting article that.
Right. Jeff pointed out that the bylaw committee did not recommend, and I did reach out to the bylaw committee and had a good conversation with Dawn, and she explained to me that she was the reasons why they did not recommend, and they were good reasons. And she was hopeful that it would be indefinitely postponed. And the reason why is that town meeting does not set policy, and that was really the bottom line. And she said that you really can't change the language of a petitioned article on the floor, because everybody who signed, if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, which I believe I am, everybody who had a signature on that when it was submitted has to agree with the changed language. And you can't substantially change the meaning of the petition. So, so that's why they did what they did. She said that it's a board of selectmen who set policy, and therefore, we should work with the board of selectmen if we wanted to move in a direction which we already are moving in. So, from my opinion, but I mean, I think that was a very fruitful conversation to be able to understand the reasoning behind that. So, thank you, Jeff, and. We're not on that list, to make a recommendation or not. So I don't think we should do anything. I think about the town meeting warrant, I think we should just let it ride. And hopefully the petitioners will just indefinitely postpone, and we can do it the right way if we want to make any changes to the policy.
We had Superintendent Conrad from Gossett at our last Finance Committee meeting. And
Who is that, Jeff?
Conrad, what's his first name?
Right, Conrad, yeah.
Tom, I think. And, the state put a date ending limit on the amount of money that, the 135 million, whatever it was that they were offering to pay. But it does not appear that we're going to be able to get any of the towns out in time. So I don't know what the whole status of any of this is at the moment. If you follow me, if there was a time limit for when all the towns had to agree, but because of the COVID-19, none of the towns are going to be able to deal with it. So I'm not sure whether the state will extend it or we go back. I mean, it doesn't change what you guys are trying, the message that you're trying to convey, but I don't know what the whole status of anything is at the moment.
I'm sure that because the state suspended everything they're doing, they'll extend the time for building. They're not going to put it off for a year unless everything gets put off for a year. They may, because state may not have any money after this. But
I have a question. This is
Yeah.
Carol. What happened to the idea of getting on the select board agenda about this resolution and the high school?
I still think it's a good idea. They've been meeting mostly about COVID every week, but we should get on the agenda. And what Lily said
Will you
is,
do it, Dick, or do you want somebody else to do it?
no, I'll send them a note saying, try to write something up saying, we'd like to talk about this, because they did do all kinds of routine business last week.
Let me
Versus
get one
tomorrow.
off-topic tidbit
Yeah.
that you guys might. I guess that the distance learning has been received as so successful that the feeling is that we'll never have to worry about a snow day ever again, because they can always switch to the distance learning. I thought that was interesting.
I don't know how well they're doing it. Well, okay, good. That's another topic. Look, this is a resolution that says we want to take all actions with climate change in mind. That's clearly in the charter of our committee. I think that, like changing the name of our committee, we put it in as a town meeting article and the select board said, no, they want to do it. So I will put forward a motion, an agenda item, to ask the select board to adopt this as a policy. But should they fail, because they're too busy, personally, I think it's within the charter of this committee to take action on this kind of a thing. And frankly, I think we should recommend it, because I don't really care about the nuances of whether it's really up to the select board or the town. If the town votes, the select board will listen. And then maybe the select board say, well, you can't do it, but we can, and the town has asked, so we'll do it. But it's our job to advocate for this. What does anyone else think?
I mean, I believe in following like open meeting law, and if the chain of command is a certain way, I believe in trying to work with that. So I don't think, one couldn't be more clear in that it's not the town meeting's job to do that. That's like wasting our time at town meeting. That is not where the authority lies. It's with the select board, and I think that's appropriate, and we should follow that. I don't think that it's unreasonable to talk with the Board of Selectmen. I think that they're on board with doing everything they can regarding climate change. So
if the Board of Selectmen say, this is a great policy, we're willing to adopt it, then we're done. Let the moderator decide if it's out of line in town meeting or not. or should be passed over because the select board has already adopted. But if the select board doesn't adopt it, then it's up to the moderator to say if it's inappropriate or not the bylaw committee. And if he allows it to go to a vote,
Dick, that makes sense to me. I think trying the select board first is a great idea. If it doesn't work, let's leave it as it is and see what the moderator determines.
right, but we get to vote on, as a committee, on what our option is in this, or
Right.
what our
We don't
review
have
is.
to vote now because we could bring it to the select board first because town meeting is not going to happen, in a
Okay.
couple of weeks.
So then I'll put a motion before the committee that we recommend that the select board adopt this as a policy.
I don't agree with,
We can't
I
go
would
to,
like to work on the language with you, Dick.
I would say that we should take the
Yeah,
article submitted for town meeting and vote, because we know that language, and say we recommend that the select board adopt that language as a town policy. Now we have the
Well,
language, it's been thought out, and we have to have a
I don't
vote.
know, now we're
to go to-
supposed to work on the language.
Why do you want to change the language of that article?
Well, could you read it, please?
Okay, I'll find
At the
it.
last meeting, we agreed that you two would get together about the language.
I'll try to find it.
That we together, right, and that's what I'm suggesting, is that we work on it.
Well, unfortunately, that means it's a month before we can go to the select board.
Yeah, I'll work on it tomorrow with you, Dick.
Okay. Fine. We'll work on it tomorrow to see if there's anything in the language that you and I personally feel might be a better thing for the select board to vote on instead of the language of the article. But failing that, we have to have something to go to the select board with, to ask them to adopt the policy. So let's put it this way. I'd like a vote saying we go forward with either the language of the article or some alternative suggestions. But the committee has to make a recommendation or we can't go to the select board.
That makes
Well,
sense to
we
me.
have-
We could go either way. Either Lily, you and Dick figure this out and come up with some changes, or you don't. And either way, we can vote as a committee to support taking whatever we end up with to the select board. I think that's a reasonable motion to take. It still leaves time to make the changes or whatever changes Lily, you and Dick want to make.
And the town meeting warrant is here. What was it, Article 23 or something?
27, I think, was,
27. Okay.
When is the town meeting scheduled?
Nobody knows. It hasn't been scheduled.
Sometime in June. That's what I thought they were.
it was
sometime in
June 1st. They put it off until June 1st,
That's what I heard. Yeah,
Okay,
tentative.
tentative.
tentatively, but
The Greeks don't rise. All right.
okay, so let's just review the wording. '27's a stabilization fund. Does that-
Okay, sorry. It's somewhere around there, though.
I thought it was 23 or 24.
23, okay, here it is.
No,
No?
that's the other resolution that we voted to support last week.
Yeah, that's ours.
Oh,
we're
you're right,
talking-
yeah.
It would have,
right.
this would have to be afterwards, because I think voter supplied articles come at the end.
It's in the table of contents.
So we'll definitely,
And it's in the minutes if anybody has access to those.
That I have access to.
oh, right, I have that too.
I thought I had access to it. It is. It's somewhere. Oh.
32.
Nope. 32?
Yeah.
Thank you. Now I have to go find the articles again.
Thanks, Carol.
Oh, can't be that. Can't be that. Must be this. 32?
32.
Okay. Proposal to amend climate policy. Short, it's sweet.
We see 37 in front of us.
I say 39.
But
I
this, no, it's section 39. Article, can you see?
Article 32, section 39.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So this is being proposed for all towns on the Cape. Therefore, I don't know if we're the only town who feels it's inappropriate because of it's a policy, but this is it.
There's a typo in the word earliest.
Okay. So
Which,
we
what
can
typo?
talk about this in more detail, but the general gist, subject to some wordsmithing, is that we will ask the select board if they feel they would like to adopt this as a policy and not discuss it at town meeting. But we generally feel, I move that as a committee, we back the content, this as a town policy.
I agree to that.
I would agree to that.
I agree.
Okay.
Yep, same here.
So that was a motion and a second.
Who
Is
seconded
there
it?
more?
Who
I'll
seconded?
second it.
Carol.
Okay, Carol said.
Carol?
I'll second.
Okay.
Now, is there more discussion or should we vote?
Do we want to add to that the idea of, no, it's implied that we take it to the select board. Okay, yes.
Yes, the motion is we take this to the select board. Also that we're instructing Lily and I to decide if there's any wording we would like to make as we go to the select board. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed. So the motion is unanimous. Okay. Now, Lily, we'll get together tomorrow sometime.
Yep,
Okay.
anytime.
Now, let's go back to the high school. It's still, given the goal of getting to net zero, the current plan doesn't include it. Right?
Right. Yep.
And so as a committee, I think we should state that. I don't know if we state that and say we're opposed, advocate not passing it, or we state that saying that we advocate strongly that they revisit their plans and seek additional funding from the state in order to make it net zero.
Hey, Jeff, did they say anything? Did you bring that up at all? When Tom was there? Hey, Jeff?
I had brought it up at an earlier meeting.
Can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
I can.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I had brought it up at an earlier meeting. I did not bring it up at the one last Wednesday. It just seemed that the whole tone of that meeting, it just didn't seem appropriate to even be bringing it up. You know, as you can well imagine, most people are really clueless what's going to happen, and trying to figure out what we're doing here. So no, I did not bring it up. I just didn't think it was appropriate considering what everybody there was talking about. In other words, at this point, the whole school seems like it's not really clear that we're how the towns are going to proceed with this whole construction effort at this point.
You mean because they may put it off?
At the last meeting, we had a discussion, and we, like Carol said initially, we agreed, there was a consensus that this topic is brought up to the Board of Selectmen to get their approval for us to reach out to people on the school building committee or whatever it is, and so we could pursue this. So I think that what we should do is put that on the agenda, like we said last time, and and get their approval, and then we can move forward to reach out. That makes sense?
I think that you guys, I mean, clearly, as I understand it, that the state is mandating that all public buildings, such as the new school, must be 100% renewable by 2050 and what, 50% by 2030, 2035, something like that?
Those numbers are in proposed legislation that has passed the Senate and gone to the House. It hasn't passed yet, but it's inevitable that within a few years it will.
Yeah, so, I mean, and I try to just let people know that as I understood and again, this was the operational educational budget last week as opposed to the new building. But the other thing that I feel was an issue with all of this is that if they go with natural gas, which is what I guess they currently have in their physical plant, that's now they're going to satisfy it in order to be able to get the, to be able to work with this. So I'm not really sure where you go with that.
Well, what it means is that in 10 years, they're going to rip out the natural gas and put in heat pumps.
There's one other point that I can add. Bob Higgins-Steele, who's I think on the True Energy Committee, attended a webinar, a DOER webinar recently, and sent some notes about it. And relative to the school, he states that DOER has started working with the Massachusetts School Building Authority,
Right.
presumably about these new standards. So it's not clear if through DOER, the Nauset Building Committee is going to have to reconsider altogether their decision. They did look at this, as we know, and chose not to proceed with more energy efficient approach because of the cost in their view. But Bob also says, lastly, that data has indicated over and over that the upfront costs for passive house buildings, even large ones like a school, will be recouped in 10 to 15 years.
This is a 40-year borrowing.
Right.
Or something like that.
Right.
Which means that the net cost will go down if they do it. The yearly annual cost will go down if they do it, not up. Because
one
they'll
of the
borrow
things,
more but
yeah,
pay less
right.
for heating.
One of the things that occurs to me is it would be very reasonable to go to the select board. I agree with that about this, and in a way put pressure on the building committee or hope that there's pressure from multiple directions, sort of up from the bottom, you could say, meaning the town of Wellfleet, but also we'd have to look into this more, or maybe Bob Higgins still has more information than he sent. If DOER is truly going to work with the building authority, the state building authority, they could be pushing down from the top on the building committee.
Including hopefully some additional grant money to pay for these deltas.
You know,
Yes.
the other thing too is that timeline being pushed out. Maybe that would work in, you know, to the benefit of getting a new design that does meet those
What
standards.
I don't understand is if the timeline goes out, building costs will change, presumably up. So how can the amount of money we're appropriating now be right?
Yeah. Well,
There's another point about some resources.
With projects many times. And also the other thing is that DOER is going to get money, and that CEC has money. There are a lot of resources maybe that they haven't looked into that might be able to give a relief to that project.
To that point, also in the notes from Bob Higgins Steele, he talks about the alternative energy credits and mass save rebates that are available. And it turns out that municipalities, towns, are eligible for the AEC credits. And they are something like $6,200 per 900 square feet in rebates between AEC and mass save rebates. So I don't know how many units of 900 square feet there are in the school, but that's some dollar amounts right there. Oh, we just lost our power.
I did too.
Oh, came back on again.
But Lily lost hers. She was the one who was worried about it.
I have a battery backup that works for the internet only, so it'll be fun to test it out. All right, everybody still here?
No,
Yeah.
Lily isn't.
Right.
Lily? We lost Lily.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
moving
in any
right
case, there's
along.
money available, it appears, and the select board should know about some of this, I would think, and we can use some of this data to support our position.
Okay, Gorham, did we lose you or have you been on all along?
I'm here. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
We've lost a
Okay.
couple of people.
So we have 6 people now, which is still a quorum. Who have we lost? Susan. No,
We
not
lost
Suzanne. Chuck.
Chuck,
Chuck and
Yes.
Lily.
Lily, yeah,
And Jeff.
and Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, it's still a quorum. But we'll skip electric car promotion for now. Let's do the grant proposals before.
Okay. Grant proposal.
Hi, buddy.
Is that you, Carol? Your dog?
No, I think it's Buddy with Robert.
Oh.
I'm going to mute Robert. Okay.
Good idea.
Okay. Go on.
Okay, so with the grant proposals, we have 3 potential projects on the burner, and the most immediate one is with the green communities, where we're working with Margaret Song and the Cape Light Compact for it's now turned into an energy efficiency improvement project. Prior to this, we kept referring to it as a window treatment project. Right. And I think Carol brought you up to speed last month about how Rise Engineering worked with Margaret Song and did an audit on the 4 buildings in question, which are Town Hall, the library, the COA, and the Wellfleet Elementary School. And so, Carol, I'm correct that you gave a summary of what's been decided on that, but there's been a revision to town hall that I'm going to do now. Is that correct?
I reported on the results for the 3 buildings we had in hand at that point. So
Okay.
you should report on town hall and then on where we're thinking the cutoff point would be in terms of return on investment.
Okay, so the update on town hall was that the audit recommended 4 items for improvement. Mini energy management system, and it had a 58-year payback. So with that in mind, Margaret Song says that this grantor really looks for 25 years or less in payback to make it a good investment, return on investment. Window shades are 70 years or 170 years. I must have written that wrong. But, and that's
like
out of,
100.
yeah. So in short, window treatments, which we had originally thought of with all of these, they're out. They're very inexpensive, but there's just not really, they take so long on the payback that it's just not considered, do it out of your own pocket maybe, but this grantor is not going to do it. A hot water circulation pump has 6-year payback. That's considered very doable. LED lighting considered very doable. It's a 2-year payback. And well, it was those 3, really, those 3 items. Even though
Those 3 items are in town hall?
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, no, window shades should be out. That's out. LED lighting, a hot water circulation pump, and despite the mini energy management system having a 58-year payback, it might be worthwhile if the town has funds to contribute as matching funds towards that. So where we're at now is Jay Norton at DPW is overseeing these 4 buildings, and he's going to be our intermediary contact person. And he has sent out the audit to the building managers and letting them know that there's been a change and there's new suggestions. And we're okay. So what I didn't do tonight, unfortunately, is update the suggested projects for all 4 buildings, but they're very similar to this. For example, the elementary school is an energy management system, and the library is LED lighting. And
does the elementary school's energy management system also have a huge payback time period for paying back?
it was, it was less for some.
That makes sense to me. Okay.
Does it? Okay.
Was it 24 years? Suzanne, was it 24 years? I think it's around the payback, the end point of what she thought was worthwhile.
Of the low payback, higher payback rather.
Faster payback, but
Faster payback.
Yeah. What is the total dollar amount of everything we're going forward with?
Okay. Can I send that out?
Order of magnitude to the nearest $10,000.
We have that in a spreadsheet from Margaret Song.
Yeah.
But you don't know what it is off the top of your head?
It kept moving around. So,
well, what numbers
was it? Okay, I want.
I can't hear you, Suzanne. You may have to repeat yourself.
Carol, does that sound right?
I couldn't hear you.
I want to say about a little under 140,000
Okay.
Total.
total.
Okay, because that's about the size of the grants that we want.
Right.
We think we can get.
That's for the projects that we think they will approve, so it doesn't include everything.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. This is
Suzanne, I have a question for you. Do you know that Jay has sent out those reports? Because I hadn't heard that.
I don't really know. I'm making an assumption there, but we're on him to send it out. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Lily's
So,
back, I hope.
Lily's back.
Yep,
Okay.
Chuck is back.
Yeah, I lost.
Oh,
I think
good.
the liquor store Wi-Fi went down for a minute or two. I missed the electric car promotion.
Lily was out too. So we didn't have it. We skipped.
Okay.
I lost power.
Okay. Are you back now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, I guess so. Did other people lose power too?
I think the power.
Momentarily.
Yeah,
problem
just
is
for
momentary.
briefly.
I didn't see the lights go out here. I'm in the parking lot at the General.
One person is
Alan.
waiting.
Boy, Dick's house must be wanting to blow away. It's coming right off the water. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Jeff back now. Okay.
You know that weather that you were concerned about, Dick?
Mhm.
We just lost power.
Yeah, I noticed. We noticed. You're the last one to get back. Chuck and Lily did too.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
I
we're
didn't-
around 140,000. That's a good number because
Yeah.
that's about as much as we're likely to get.
Right.
What are you talking about? I'm keeping minutes, you know?
We're
Oh.
probably going to have to listen to this recording to get the minutes on this.
I'll tell you something, Suzanne. It was just a challenge because the audio recording was not good. So if you don't mind
Right.
just really cluing me in, you know, after what item are you on?
We're on the grant application process for the
Okay,
Green Communities Act. And we found about $140,000 worth of suggestions. It's being reviewed by DPW now. Nothing's final, but we're working on it.
And the deadline for that has been moved to May 1. It was originally March 27th. It's been moved to May 1. So we are hoping that this is going to be approved, and in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be working with Margaret on the narrative and the numbers and putting them in
Okay.
place and having it ready to go out.
So we don't think there's any risk on the May 1 deadline?
Of missing it, you mean, or
Of-
having put
Of submitting the proposal by May 1?
I think that we'll get it through.
May 1 is only 2 weeks away, right?
Yeah, but we
That-
have all the data that we need. We really have all the data. It's just a matter of just putting it onto a table and coming up with a narrative.
And whose
Because
signature
what-
do you need on the application? Dan Hortz?
Yes, but I think that was maybe suspended as a requirement because of COVID-19.
Oh, really? Okay, I wasn't aware of
There was some fiddle about that relating to the virus.
because
What,
it
some
slows
fiddle
things.
about who signs it?
Yes, some relaxation of the requirement.
Okay.
Maybe the type of signature, I don't remember exactly what it was.
So,
so was
This
this the
is-
Green Communities Act grant?
Correct.
yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify for the minutes.
So today's the 13th. We really have 2.5 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So I would say in 1.5 weeks, we should have our application ready to go, right?
Right. Right.
Please let
And
me know if
it's
we
all,
don't.
so the thing is, all the material for that application is on hand. It's really just a matter now of Jay notifying these people and signing off on the recommended items that we want to purchase, put in place, the energy efficiency items. So we've made up our mind, with our suggestions about the $140,000 purchase.
Who are these people?
Well, it's the building managers of each of the buildings. So that would be the custodial at the, well,
director, the librarian,
Okay,
the
the
elementary school.
principal.
but, okay.
And we
I don't
assume
think
there's,
there's a lot of opposition for somebody spending money on your building to save you money. But yes,
well,
you need them to approve it, right?
right. But
Or
they,
do-
I think that they went into this when we informed them of it. They knew that we were going to be
Okay.
looking.
Does the grant application require signatures from those people? Or only just the town administrator?
I think it's just the town administrator.
Administrator. Yeah.
Okay,
It's not Jay Norton, right? Like he's the
No.
contact person, but okay.
he's the deputy DPW.
Right.
Uh,
But for this project, I think he's considered maybe the coordinating contact person or whatever. But yeah,
Okay, just check with Jay that he's comfortable that in a week and a half, he'll have enough information to go to Dan and get us a signature.
okay. Yeah, Carol, I think we need to call him tomorrow. We've been in touch with him on a regular basis and he responds, but there was a little lapse since Friday about whether he got that report out to everybody because it should, the COVID-19 really slowed things down. Those audits were done a while back and they probably should have been sent to the building managers before now.
Okay,
So, yeah.
okay. We skipped electric car promotion. Lily, is there
Wait,
anything progress on? Okay, you want
We
to do
have-
more on this?
Suzanne, you have a couple of other grants to talk about, right?
Oh, I'm
briefly?
sorry.
Suzanne?
Suzanne,
And all that business. So to me, I consider that's the rush with the deadline. And I think we can take care of that in 2 weeks.
okay.
Okay, do you want to talk about the other two grants? When you
Yeah.
started out, you said this is the immediate one.
Right. So the second one that is upcoming is Cape Cod Commission. I heard from Heather McElroy today. I believe, Carol, you informed the committee last month that that Cape Cod Commission is proceeding to get a grant for the vulnerable feasibilities study for roads, low-lying roads, etc. But they've turned to a different funding source, and she kept it confidential. We're not sure why, but we respect that. And she still hasn't named them, but they are about to submit that very soon. They just have to make sure when the deadline is. So for that, we just have to make sure that the municipal vulnerabilities preparedness annual report has been done. It's up to date. And I got in touch with Hillary Lemos about that just to ensure that's the case, because now we're in a new year. So that needs to be updated. So that's on its way. Then the third grant, the deadline for that is going to be early June. That's the one that we're thinking of working with Truro with Fred Gechter. And that is the coastal zoning management's coastal resiliency grant. And that for that one, we had chosen to do a bylaws and zoning development and amendment grant proposal to bring our codes.
Sheriff Planner, I assume. So
Yeah, we lost you, Suzanne.
Suzanne, we lost your audio.
The CZM's Cape Cod coordinator, his name is Stephen.
Suzanne, you'll have to repeat. We lost the last minute of what you were saying.
Oh, okay. What did you last hear? Was it about the last grant?
Yes, the last grant.
Sharing
Okay.
a planner, maybe, or sharing a consultant for zoning.
You said something about bylaw and zoning amendment grant.
Right. Yes. So they support. They give grants for doing developing zoning and bylaws or amending zoning and bylaws. And so we had discussed this with David, in fact, about making that our third project of the year. So we're planning on working with Fred Gechter in Truro. They expressed interest, the the Climate Action Board in Truro. So we're looking to go ahead with that. The deadline for that is early June. And I reached out to the Cape Cod coordinator, grant coordinator for that. So he knows what we're planning on doing. And he wants to talk with Carol and myself and Fred about the project. He also happened to mention that there was a 4-town project involving Eastham, Wellfleet, Truro, and Provincetown, where they were getting CZM funding, and that we need to, that he advised us to get in touch with whoever's on those projects to make sure that our project complements that project and vice versa. So I'm not sure what that project is. Does anybody know?
Suzanne, I'll forward you an email I got. I spoke to someone at the Cape Cod Commission about this, and I've got some notes from her. She's, I don't remember her name. I'll forward you to the email. She, I do remember though, she said they were working on zoning issues, but not something like building codes, which kind of makes sense because building codes are often have to come from the state level. But I will forward that to you. And if you want more detail about what that project is, but I believe it's principally or all zoning changes, you can contact the person who sent me the email.
Okay, that would be great. Because then what we do we can maybe tone our, just tone ours down so that it's on bylaws or something like that. We can make it so that it complements what they're doing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Suzanne, do you know how to spell Fred's last name?
Gaechter, I believe.
Yes.
I have a question. The Green Communities Grant is not going to require any matching funds from us. That
You get extra points if you have matching funds, but
I'm not interested in browning points. I'm interested in what's required.
it's not 100% required, yeah.
What about the second grant, the one that Cape Cod Commission is doing? Is that no, the second grant you mentioned, that also didn't require any matching funds, did it?
I don't believe so, no.
Does the third
Carol?
one require any matching funds?
Okay, I don't remember offhand. I'm gonna say
Okay.
yes. I'm
You
gonna
think
say
so?
yes. Yeah,
Okay, because you have to know that the town's budget is in terrible shape since they expect a terrific loss of revenue because
yeah,
of the coronavirus, and they're going to an austerity budget, and they will probably recommend every optional funding requirement. Anything that's at all discretionary will probably be cut out. Maybe Jeff can talk to this more. But we have an article in there for $50,000 as for matching funds for a grant. And I'm sure the select board's probably going to recommend against it.
yeah. I can see that.
Jeff, do you have that sense too?
We actually voted on this in the finance committee and there was one negative and all the others were in favor. But again, that was before all of this crisis.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, before
Yeah.
we're all in favor.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
There hasn't been any discussion of it since.
Has there been any discussion about what is going to happen because of coronavirus?
I don't have anything
Okay.
that I feel is
We-
valuable to contribute, sorry.
And
Well,
oh, sorry.
No, go on. Go.
Jeff or myself?
You, Suzanne,
please.
I'm bailing out here, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm also wondering too for the grants, whether they're going to change things around, given that many towns are probably hurting for funds and cannot match.
Yeah. Okay, let's just not be surprised if we get a strong request to pass over this matching grant. Because the town
Yeah,
simply, yeah,
May I ask a
Carol?
question about that, as
Please.
long as you're talking about it?
yeah.
I sent you an email suggesting some wording changes in that. There are a couple of mistakes in it, a missing word,
I
and
think the only mistake in the article itself was missing the word of, which can be accomplished by the motion you make at town meeting. There's no problem with that.
is it too late to submit that and the other corrections that I suggested?
I don't think anyone wants to bother, Carol. It's good enough.
Fine.
I mean, we got our committee name wrong, so what? You know, I guess you should, why don't you forward it to town hall and say, here are a couple of typos. If there's time, please fix it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Carol. I've actually seen, as you have, Dick, articles voted down because the language wasn't perfect.
Yeah, but the only missing thing was it was something of something else, and we left the word of out. Didn't change the meaning, didn't change the context in the article. And then they got the name of the committee wrong.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
There were other mistakes, but I will forward it to town hall. Thank you.
Okay, sure. It can't hurt. There's enough. They may or may not do it. Okay. So there is a possibility that we'll be under pressure. The select board will recommend the town not approve anything that's at all discretionary.
Yeah.
And the town meeting will probably go along with it, but we'll see. Okay.
So if we don't get it this year, we'll ask next year, and these grants could always be pushed over to next year, up to next year.
Well, so far the first two don't appear to need any funding. So it's only the third one that might.
Yeah, the first one actually might, because of that for example, the mini energy management system for the town hall, if that were to go through, for example, it would only, because it has a slower payback, their town funds would be needed for that, likely.
Suzanne, a 58-year payback or something like that, the building isn't going to last that long.
Yeah.
Certainly the heating system we're managing isn't going to last that long. And the people we train in the energy management system will have retired and no one will train their successors.
Okay.
That's why these things have such long paybacks. So I don't think we should even recommend it with that kind of a pay. It's not something that's nice to have. It doesn't save enough energy. That's what a long payback means.
Yeah.
And in 10 years, maybe it won't need training. So let's just give up on that one.
Okay. Yeah. The others, I think, are more reasonable. And
but even without that, we still had a $140,000 ask. Is that correct?
No, that brings it down.
Oh, without that, how much are we asking for?
Oh, I have to go back there and do the calculations and everything.
Okay. Why don't you send the committee an email letting them know what the total is?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Electric car promotion. Lily, you're back. Did anything happen,
no.
or should we just go over? Just pass on.
Pass on, please.
Okay.
No.
Understandable. Grant, Global Covenant of Mayors. Robert, is there anything to say at this?
He was on mute, right?
No, he's not on mute. Oh.
Global Covenant.
Yeah.
What would you like to hear about it?
Where do we
Global
stand?
Covenant has been very involved in dealing with the coronavirus. And a lot of the resources, have switched to dealing with trying to get some kind of coordination. Of course, the country is involved. And, but the facility for entering new information in terms of what the town has done and plans to do will become available sometime in the month of April. And my intention is to update all of the entries that look at activities that we're now, some of which are being discussed now, some of which have been done but never recorded, in order to get a more complete picture to the Global Covenant in respect to the activities in Wellfleet.
And is this on the Mass Energy Insight program that you're doing the entries?
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
Are you doing these entries in the Mass Energy Insight program?
I haven't touched the Mass Energy Insight because it was my understanding that all of that was taken over. Isn't that the case?
Gorham, didn't we just get you access to it?
I still have access to it, and some of the information in there is relevant to producing a new report, an updated report on the greenhouse gas energy.
Margaret Song has a grant to update the Mass Energy Insight on our behalf. So we don't have to do it anymore.
Okay, so what is GB doing?
Well, I did get just about 4 days ago, I got assigned an ID. So I do have access to the system. And even before getting that, I talked with Margaret Song about that. And she, I know she has been doing a certain amount of work herself, but she, if I understood right, didn't have any objections to us making updates in there if we wanted to. I think anything that's done needs to be coordinated carefully so everybody knows who's doing what. But I think the flexibility for doing that might be there. I haven't, where I am right now, I've got access to the system. I've been in, I've looked around. I did some looking around before I got access to the system, and they seem to have very good tutorials on how to use it and so forth. So I've got to do spend some time doing a little refamiliarizing and self-training, and then Margaret said that she would be happy to do a conference call with me to go over any questions I have, or discuss anything I should need to know about the system.
Okay, well, here's a question I'd like to ask you to do. I have no idea how we stand on our 5-year plan to reduce energy consumption in the town, and whether there are some buildings that have done it, new buildings that have thrown us off kilter. Do you think you could put together an executive summary that might ultimately go to the select board on how we stand on that 5-year plan to reduce our energy?
Okay, is that
the view from 50,000
is that for Dick? Is that for Dick? Or, I mean, is that for Richard, or is that for GB?
That's for GB. I'm asking.
Okay.
Just
Yep,
the view
okay.
from 50,000 feet for the committee to understand if we're making any progress. It doesn't have to be small details. Just, are we getting anywhere? And is there anything that we should pay attention to?
I mean,
Okay.
I think that if at the what's going on just in the town-owned properties, which is what that database is focused on, the issue is that in the first few years, I think fairly easy things were accomplished relative to degree of difficulty. But after a certain point, you get to a circumstance where the vehicles owned by the town count for a significant amount of the greenhouse gases that are generated. And not that much significant has been accomplished in respect to the vehicles. And I don't know that there's a plan for doing anything about that.
Okay.
So that's one major factor. And the other factor is how far we can go with the buildings owned by the town in respect to the current way in which those buildings are heated. We need to switch from fuel oil to propane, which was of some value in that regard, but there's a limit to how far you can get doing that. So if we want to look at just the town-owned, we're not talking about residents, just town-owned properties, that is going to be difficult overall making that much more progress unless we do something different.
Well, all right. So let me just ask a question. If it's going to be town-owned properties, does that include the enterprise accounts, which are the elementary school, the water system, and the marina?
Yes.
Those are the enterprise accounts. So it includes those as well?
Yes.
Okay.
It's and we don't have any axe to grind, but we're supposed to be reducing our energy by 20% over 5 years. I don't think we will, but we'd like to know how far along we're getting. And maybe if Bob is right, maybe we wait a few more years and then electric vehicles become more common. The shellfish department has trucks, for example. Maybe their next replacement should be an electric truck. Might be 5 years out, but we should worry about it then. I don't know if you can ever replace the pickup trucks with electric vehicles. Not the pickup, the dump trucks. Yeah.
They're working on that in Europe, actually. They charge it. So that's one thing I've learned already about the electric vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe it's something we should think of long term. Okay, Bob, besides so the data entry is under control. Somebody's got an echo.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do have the mail interchange with Margaret about this, and she has a grant to do it, and whether she's done all of it or not, I don't know. I haven't looked at that. There were a few areas where there were inconsistencies, one of which I think was caused by the way in which the whole police establishment building was reflected. There's some complicated history about how that was all managed. So I don't know whether that's accurate or up to date.
Okay,
And the
we're
other thing
having
that was
an
missing
echo. I'm going to mute everyone. If you're talking, unmute yourself. Bob, unmute yourself and continue.
Am I unmuted now?
Not yet, but I'll unmute you. Okay, you can.
Now I should be unmuted.
We can't both do it. Okay, go ahead. Bob, go ahead.
So, okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know how important those issues are. I mean, I think that I distributed a document well over a year ago that mentioned a few of the problems, and I don't know. Maybe I need to review the MEI document at this point and see if I feel there's some other areas that need to be updated.
Okay, but
And
work with GB so there are at least 2 people on it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next issue. I'll quickly. The PV is where it was. Land court hasn't done anything because of the coronavirus. We're still waiting. GB, let's talk about the consolidation effort. Where do we stand on it?
Okay. So just back to well, I'll incorporate the MEI situation in that as far as the electricity consumption goes. On the consolidation, I've been waiting for Jean, what's her name, Layden something or other, to get back to me with a recent copy of the face sheet of all the bills. But she said because she's working remotely, it's going to be difficult for her to get to that right away. I think I'm going to try this week to see if I can track down Gene Ferrari and see if there's a way I can get something through his office. Once and when I'm able to contact him, I'm going to bring him up to date on where we stand. He wanted to try to cut all this over the 1st of July to correspond with the next fiscal year, but Dick and I have talked about this, and we feel it's better to do it as soon as possible so that we have a master account set up that we can allocate the credits to when they turn up the PV system, the credits start to flow. So I'm just going to see if he's agreeable with moving ahead on that as soon as Eversource can, come through with a master account. So in order to do that, I just need a face copy of each of the Eversource bills that they're getting now, and there's a form I need to fill out, and I can move ahead with that. Oh, and I was going to say, as part of that, I'll be able to compare the information that I'm putting together to submit to Eversource with the information that's in MEI, and make sure that they agree and MEI is up to date.
Good. Thank you. We're getting to the end. So let's take the item we passed. Does anyone want to add anything on future agenda topics? Okay. Yes.
Dick, this
I
this
must
GB,
admit that I would be a transgressor in the world of being in parking lots with my engines running, because it's the only way I can do radio. And
Okay.
I lost 8 to 10 hours of editing work on a radio program because my battery went, or my screen crashed. So I have my engine on, but it's reasonably efficient.
Okay. Anybody want to add any any future topics?
Yeah, this is Dick. This is GB. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe as just a checkpoint item is to make a note of that. Where do we stand on the 5-year energy plan, and coming up with some kind of executive summary.
Okay. Anybody else want to add any future topics? Old
I
business.
just want to make a comment about the session, which is when most of us were not muted, I had a great deal of difficulty understanding what was being said. And as soon as you switch to this mode of people who weren't talking, the sound improved vastly. So just in the future, I think we need to practice using this tool to be muted unless we're going to talk.
Okay, good point. I'll make a note of that. Any old business?
I'd like to ask,
Yes.
Carol,
Yeah.
I'd like to ask if it's possible that we could meet during the day instead of at night. Are we all at home? Is there a reason we have to meet in the evening?
Dick, you're on mute.
We're all muted.
How does everybody feel about that? Anyone who wants to
I'm having meetings at 2 in the afternoon. It would work for me for now.
say that again?
It works for me to have afternoon meetings. It doesn't, probably
Okay.
better.
Will we stick to Mondays?
I'm not in favor of having the afternoon meetings. I have too much of that already, and the evening meeting is working just fine for me.
This GB, afternoon meetings are fine, and I guess Mondays work as well as any other day.
Okay. And my view is I could support either, provided we switch to the third Monday of the month, because I have a conflict in the afternoon on the second Monday of the month. But other than that, so I guess.
And I can do either. I'm fine with either approach.
So Lily, what would be a time for you on a Monday? Just evenings?
I'd prefer to have evenings. I mean, we've had evenings ever since I've been on this committee. You know, that it works for me.
Okay, Suzanne, want to weigh in?
Suzanne's muted.
Oh, there we go. Okay, pushing the wrong button there. I'm flexible on,
Okay.
I would do better with a meeting earlier. I tend to, this is actually the whole time where I do cooking and so forth. So it's exactly in the middle of when I would be doing that. So I would prefer for the meeting to be earlier than it is now. And I'm open for afternoons.
So is 5 p.m. a compromise that would help you, Carol? That might go through
That'd
supper.
be much better than 7.
How does that, Lily, is 5 p.m. okay? And you may be muted.
Well, I'm not pleased about it.
Say that again?
I'm not pleased about that.
Okay, let's just leave it the way it is, Carol, since you can't agree to anything different. New business. Is there anything new someone wants to discuss? I got the GB's suggestion that I'll add a 5-year plan discussion. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. I will make a note we will mute ourselves and unmute ourselves when we want to talk. But I will leave it up to individuals to mute and unmute themselves rather than my doing it. Okay, I'll mute everybody to start with. But after that, if you want to talk, unmute yourself because it does help the sound. Okay, thank
Do
you.
you observe the raised hand that is offered as an option? Or would you rather we just unmute ourselves and talk?
I'd rather you unmute yourself when you want to say something rather than my having to go, because I can't see all participants at once.
Okay.
If there's a screen, something on the screen, I can only see 5 people. If there are 8 people.
Okay. Good.
Did we agree on a date for the next meeting?
No.
How about the 3rd Monday, for me to avoid a conflict? Does anyone have any?
When was that?
The third Monday would be May 18th or so. Let me look.
20th.
20th.
Oh, no,
okay.
I'm sorry. Monday would be the 18th. You're right.
May 18th.
18th.
20th. No, that's
No,
right.
no,
That's
Monday.
April. You're right. May 18th. Is that fine with everyone?
All right, so May 18th at
7 o'clock.
7 p.m.
Sorry, Carol.
Sorry, Carol.
6:30?
That's fine with me.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody.
Stay safe, everybody.
I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn. Is
I'll
somebody,
second that.
you have
All in
seconded it?
I'll second it. Chuck.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I can't see what time it is, since my
8:30.
8:30
8:29. 8:29, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Dick.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
So long, everyone.
All right.
Hey, Dick, what time is good tomorrow?
In the morning, 9:30.
What time?
Excuse me?
9:30, 9:30, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, 9:30.
I don't have another
Thank
Zoom
you.
call until
Bye-bye.
11. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.